Hi, I'm Pris, and this is Pris Builds, and today I'm reviewing LEGO Masters Season 2, Episode 2. And in this episode, the builders were given 10 hours to build like an action movie scene where there's a slow motion explosion happening behind, like the hero's back. Kind of like those types of scenes you see in movies all the time. I do think that this would be difficult for most builders because most builders are used to building for things to stay together, not to deconstruct, and that's really kind of the main premise here. They did have to create a little backstory as well. So there will be spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, this is probably where you should stop watching. So I'm going to kind of rank them top to bottom from what I thought, and I do think I had a little bit of disagreements with the judges on a couple of them, but for the most part, I felt like it was pretty on point. So in my number one spot, I gave it to the Ladybug builders as well. I do love that frog build. He was super cool, and it was a pretty awesome explosion. My number two would actually have been Rocket Boy. For whatever reason, I really loved those glitter explosions. I thought it just looked so cool. I loved how their main rocket stayed together. I just think it had a neat effect. So number three would be my violin guy. I did think he was really cool. I think he would probably been a difficult one to get. Did kind of make me think a little bit of Umbrella Academy and maybe Vanya as a source of inspiration, but I loved how they went in this like really positive, eco-friendly way with it. It did look really awesome when like all the dust started to settle and you see the musical notes behind him. And that was the one the judges had originally given number two, which I think it's really a personal opinion of just which one you really liked better. So on those ones, but I think they were all excellent for those top three. And then for me, the next one would have been the alien build. I did like the alien. I think he looked cool. Kind of made me think of some sort of weird octopus type monster, but he looked really neat. The explosion went really well. Overall, I thought it looked pretty awesome on screen. So the next one for me would be the cabaret singer. I actually really liked what they did here. I do wish that the fountain had been a little bit bigger in the main build just to give it more oomph, and I think that probably would have helped them move up a little bit, just to have made that just a bigger, more noticeable feature to start with. Then the elf girl. I liked the elf girl's concept with the dam exploding. It just looked a little simplistic because it's really just a giant wall kind of cracking down behind them. But I did like it. I thought it looked really good. I think it was a great explosion on screen as well. Then Intergalactic Girl. So this one I felt, I felt kind of bad. There was a lot of bystanders, just like I felt who got caught in the crossfire of her exploding this coffee shop. Here they are just trying to get their cup of joe and their whole day, man, that's just wrecked. I just thought there was a little bit of sadness in this one. Then the wizard. So the wizard, I loved the spider. I thought he was great. I thought the explosion I found like busting apart was awesome. I kind of wish the little background town had looked a little bit more themed to kind of just like pull it together. The plant monster, I felt so bad for the plant monster people. So part of the requirements was that the hero has to stay standing, and he did not stay standing. And then he even called it out like the worm was almost making like a winky face that he was dead. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so tragic. And it looked so cool. It was like this like evil VeggieTales type situation. And they're blowing up this giant watermelon. And it just looked so cool. And it just ended so sad. But I felt so bad for these guys, man. It was such a cool look. Then I would say the monster scientist, and this is one of the ones where I disagreed with the judges. They had him in the bottom two, and I would put him a little bit higher than that. I like the pink vials. I like the overall look. The problem with this is supposed to have this like little drop-down reveal that didn't work. Maybe if they hadn't tried to be gimmicky and they just had blown up the building, it might have worked better in their favor. Centaur Warrior is the one I would put in the bottom two. I didn't really care for the backdrop, and I felt these builders, they got really caught up in the idea of not knowing anything about centaurs and not just taking it in this like crazy fantasy way to begin with. So their creative problem solving kind of worried me a little bit. And I do admit, like, if you don't know anything about it, it can be very, stressful. And then they are in this like high pressure situation. So I'm sure there's a lot of other factors, but overall, I just thought it was kind of sad in the end. So out of all of them, this is the minifig I would have wanted if I could have like had my pick of them. I think I probably would have made some sort of giant minotaur explosion type situation. Yeah, I just think it had so much potential. So in last place, kind of with me and the judges, was the Jewel Thief. This would be the one I would have not wanted. Because it's the most, probably most grounded in reality, other than maybe the violin guy. But I think with the violin guy, because it's so random, you could have taken it in more places. Where the Jewel Thief, I don't know. I think I would have tried to make up some sort of dumb story to have him blowing up a giant piggy bank or giant ridiculous looking safe. Something that's kind of over the top to just give it a different type of creative edge. And it was just a little lacking compared to some of the other builds. And in the end, these guys sadly did go home, and it's sad because I do think that they had some cool stuff. They did, do the best they could, and they worked well under pressure, as did all the contestants. I do think that that's a huge, huge impressive state right there. I mean, that they got these done, in 10 hours is pretty cool. And then I do think as well, as a builder, this isn't something you would probably do a lot of at home building. I mean, most people aren't building to deconstruct. They aren't working with pyrotechnics and exploding their Lego sets. So this is probably something that's very out of the ordinary and you really would have to work with on the fly. So overall, I think this is really cool. And I think everyone did a fabulous job. And I'm sad to see our people who went home go home. And I'm totally stoked to see next week's. So please in the comments below, tell me what minifig you would have wanted or which one you would have been the least excited to get. Anyway, I'm Pris, and I watched that.